The purpose of life is to contribute in some way to making things better. This is a quote from Robert F. Kennedy. Join us today with Surging Forward as we show you how you can make a difference. Hello, and welcome to the Surging Forward broadcast, where we're helping you to have a positive view in a negative world. My name is David Valentine, and I'm here to help you see the value in the job you do and how you can keep surging forward. Hello, and welcome to the Surging Forward podcast, where we're creating a positive view in a negative world. If this is your first time listening, then a special welcome to the Surging Forward team. This is a show that provides workforce training and tips to help you excel as we continue to stay positive in this negative world. If you have any questions you'd like addressed on this show, please send us an email to tradesman@surgingforward.com or simply click on the contacts page at surgingforwardpodcast.com. And again, I want to thank all those that are listening on iTunes and Stitcher, and we're also now on Google Play. So if you want to listen to some of the other episodes, again, you can go to surgingforwardpodcast.com. And if you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play, make sure you subscribe to this podcast, and then you'll get all the episodes downloaded right away as we're putting out a new episode every Friday, which leads us to the point we're up to episode number 11. So again, thank you for your support, and I thank you for all the information I've gotten and the positive attitude I've gotten from those and the encouragement I'm getting to make the time to get these podcast episodes out. And it's hard to imagine. 6 months ago, I didn't even know what a podcast was. And now it seems like that's all I'm listening to. There's quite a few of great information out there. And so today, I want to get forward to what we're going to be talking about here. And it's, how can you make a difference? You know, I'm just a small guy working with a company, and nobody even knows my name, let alone how can I make a difference? How can I advance my career? Well, this is how you can do it. I get these questions asked all the time. You know, it starts with the attitude around you. So, let's begin our show. What can I do to make a difference? Okay, well, to start out, I'm just to let you know, I'm just an average Joe guy, and I work out in the field just like you guys do. I'm still out in the field working. I work, even though I'm a consultant inspector, I still teach the apprenticeship program, so I'm constantly talking to guys out in the field who are out there in the hard and grind. And the one thing that really pops up is something that concerns me. I still hear a lot of complaining out in the field. A lot of guys feel like they're on a nowhere road, and they don't think anything I'm not even going to edit that out. Like I said, I'm just going to roll with that. My English is not the best. I'm not an English major. I tell my students all the time. I may not talk very well. I'm just an old Southern boy, but I do know what makes a difference. So forgive me for the spelling error there. But what I want to talk about is, you know, the complaining. We always think that things are wrong. We just look around what's beside us. But there is a lot you can do. There's a lot of things how people perceive you, and it's the attitude of how we perceive and affect with the changes around us. So I want to give you a little bit of something to think about. Complaining is not the way to go. I want to share with you, for those of you who have never heard this, it's the Serenity Prayer. And I've heard this in a lot of different applications, but it's a very powerful, and, you know, not depending on what your religious beliefs are or anything else like that, but we all have to accept that there is a higher power, and God is in control of a lot of things. But that's a story for another thing there. But it goes simply like this. It says, God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change. Now that is powerful. Then it goes on to say, the courage to change the things we can. Now here's the kicker one. The wisdom to know the difference. Now that's the big deal. We need to know the wisdom to know what we cannot change and what we can change. And the things that we can change, we need to make an effort to go out and do it. The things that we cannot change, sometimes we have to accept it and move forward and wait till we're in a position to be able to make that change. But for you, where you're at right now, you might think you're at the bottom of the ladder, you're at the middle rung of the ladder, you might only be on the second step of the ladder. You can still make a change. One of the great books that I've read in the past is, I still have a lot of books. I'm still a book reader. I have graduated to the Kindle, and so I have a lot of my books on Kindle, which is a great thing because all my books can kind of stay on one pad. And that's kind of neat because I can carry this one thing around and I can read multiple books at one time. But if you don't read a lot of books, I would encourage you. I mean, it's a great format to learn. Some of you guys like listening and different things like that, but books are still a powerful way of learning. And I want to plug one book. I don't get anything for this. I don't get any kind of pro bonos. I don't get any kind of, royalties or anything of this at all. But I've read, if you've never heard of John Maxwell, fantastic author. You can look him up on Amazon, and he has a lot of marvelous books out there. But The 360 Leadership, and I remember this book as I read it. It's something that I constantly refer back to. I've got the hard copy as well as on my Kindle. That's how much I value this one because I'm constantly referencing back to it. But it's called The 360 Leadership. It talks about leading from wherever you are. And it starts by whatever you do, you make a choice to where you can decide what you want to do. And the thing is, you decide if you want to make a positive choice or a negative choice. Now, the thing is with the negative choice, it will always take you down what I like to call the negative road. You see, the negative choice a lot of times is the easiest choice to make. I like to look at it when we look at that fork in the road. We have two choices of the road to go down. You have that straight, narrow road that you look at and go, wow, that one looks like I have to work at it. I might have to walk a little way. I can't drive my car down that road. I might have to get out and walk. Or I've got this wide road I can go down that is a lot easier, and I could just barrel my car down there at 50 miles an hour. Thing is, you go barreling down at 50 miles an hour, you don't know who you've hit, you don't know what you hit, you have no idea what you even ran over. And I encourage you to stay off that road. That's the negative road. That's the easy path. You see, the positive choice, it may not seem like the right choice at the moment, but it will always take you down the positive road. Because the thing is, when you walk down that smaller road, you have to be aware of your surroundings, and you're looking around, and you're thinking about what goes on. Now, does that mean there's not going to be any struggles on that road? Absolutely not. Because there are going to be struggles. Even the Bible itself, it says there will be trials and tribulations. We're all going to go through struggles of what we go through. But what it means is that you're going to be aware of the surroundings around you and be able to hit those troubles head on and handle those troubles and keep that positive attitude. It also means while you're traveling down that narrow road, the people that you have around you are going to be closer around you because it's a more narrow road. You go down the wide track road, you end up being by yourself a lot of times because there's so many people down that road. Nobody even knows you're around. So people want to congregate around the positive, and many people try to get off that negative road and get on the positive road, but they don't last very long a lot of times, and they just keep falling back in that negative trap because it's so easy. So if anything else, just get that small light and get away from that doom and gloom and know that there is a small light out there. There are people that are positive. And that's what you want to surround yourself with. And that's what helps you get through the day. Think about what other people are going through. You ever go through up on a counter, working at a job, and you're off, you've had a hard day at work, and nobody knows what kind of day you had. And I don't want to bust anybody's bubble, but and honesty, nobody really cares. And see, that's why it's important to stay down that positive road, because when you have a tighter road that you're traveling, you're aware of a lot of other people's issues. And it can kind of say, wow, mine is bad. Or you've got other people around to encourage you. When you're down that negative path road, you're just sharing the same issues with everybody else. And nobody, you're just in that big, you're a little fish in a big pond. And you're just getting trampled on or getting eaten up. And it's, again, it's a whole nother story down that travel that I can go. But the negative road, it's a wide traveled road. You don't know if you're going to get by a bus or a truck or a train. And you have no idea what's going on around you. But when we travel down that positive road, you're aware that, hey, other people struggle just like you do. So it starts by your attitude and how you can respect those around you. So when you start being positive, more people around you start becoming positive. And then you start becoming that small little light in that whole big dark doom and gloom that's so many other people around. All that negativity that's around you on the job site. It's not something that you want to get sucked into. But if you're that small glimmer of light, people are going to start looking to you for the answers, not the guy that's always talking the doom and gloom stuff. So just try it one day. Next time when you're coming home from work on that hard day and you've had that hard, rough day and you don't really feel like going to pick up that gallon of milk or the Coke or whatever you're picking up or the loaf of bread on the way home because you just want to get home, and your wife or spouse or significant other has asked you to pick something up, and so that's fine. So you go strolling it out of the store and you look at the cashier. You never know what kind of day she's had. She's a hard-working tradesman just like you are. She's had a rough day. You don't know what kind of day she has or what kind of family issues she has behind the scenes. How many times is you just grumbled at the person and, they're not moving fast enough or whatever the case may be? Well, you know what? Try this on for size one time. Next time you go up to the counter, find something nice to say. Compliment that person. Because again, you don't know what's happening in their life. They've had a tough day just like you. You don't know what's going on their job. And that kind word may be just what they needed to keep them from quitting their job that day. They may be fed up. It may make a difference between them going home in a good mood or a bad mood. You may catch them at just that right moment to where they've had it and they have it in their mind. Nobody cares. But you, by saying a kind word of, hey, thank you, or wow, you're doing a great job, or how, I appreciate what you're doing, or thanks for putting that in the bag. Find something. Everybody has something that can be said good about. So the seeds that you plant and that happens on that, it's like a small pebble going in a pond and it ripples out. And as those ripples go out, it affects more and more people. It might affect their family. You'll never see the effect that one comment might make a difference. Think about how you feel when somebody makes a difference to you, when somebody says a nice comment to you, when someone says thank you, or someone says you're doing a good job. I know you don't hear that enough on the job sites, and you probably deserve to hear it a lot more, but we don't always hear that. But so when somebody says that, deep down inside, it makes a difference. So you might hit a little bit better stride in your step, even if it's only for a little while. Now, the insult, on the other hand, I like to view that as like the big large boulder, the mountain that drops into a pond. Well, those ripple waves cause a lot of damaging effect. It can affect the shoreline. It could wash stuff away. Anything you have on the front gets washed into the water. And it just causes damage all the way down the line. And you don't even have a clue what you could have affected. So when you sit there and you curse that guy out at the cashier or that waiter who you didn't like exactly how the meal was brought to you, and you curse them out, well, you don't know how that affected your life. You never know how your words carried on. And it might even last for a couple days. So unfortunately, the negativism seems to last a lot longer than the positive. And people dwell on that negative for a long time. So it's very important. Your tongue is a very powerful tool. It's probably the most powerful things on your body. More powerful than your hands. More powerful than your mind. Because we all say that little tune, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is such a lie because we all have been hurt by words. So keep that positive attitude. And again, I work with that every day too. I always have to keep striving to say something nice because there's times I hide it inside. I am just not I don't even feel like talking to anybody. I'll be honest with you. I mean, there are times I'm just wore out. I've worked a good 14, 16-hour day. I've been at class teaching all night. It's 9:30 at night. And all of a sudden I get a text saying, oh, you want me to go get something? Really? So I go by, and I'm there, and I'm at the 24 hours. And you know what? I have to check myself and say, hey, nobody really cares how ticked off I am at the world. And I really don't have a reason to get ticked off because I'm blessed. I have a car to drive. I have money to go purchase the food I'm going to go get. So you go there and you say something nice to somebody, and you never know what difference it's going to make. I want to bring this to a light. I was kind of talking about waiters a minute ago, and I was sharing with my son one time about this, about some of the hotels around the country and how tough it is for some of these hotels. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. They have these things called Comic-Cons, where it's where people can come and dress up in all kinds of form of their favorite characters, or Marvel superheroes and anime or whatever it is they do. I don't know. It's a little bit out of my realm, but I kind of think some of it looks pretty cool, but I would never probably attend one of these. I've seen pictures. But I just look at the hotels and I'm like, wow, they're packed. And I made the comment, I said, that must drive some of these waiter and waitresses up the wall. And, it's grief, not to mention that, how crowded it is and everything else. And it was interesting. And he actually told me, he says, yeah, they're all booked up, but, everybody gets along fine. And everything's great. So I was amazed when he said this. So one day when I was staying at a hotel, I happened to be staying at a hotel where they had one of these. And I was talking with the hostess, and she was explaining to me that, yeah, we have these events all the time, just like these conventions that you're on. And I said, those are so much more crowded than a regular convention. And she said, yeah, we've had them in the past, but I really love it when they do those. And I said, really? You don't mind the crowds? He said, oh, no. They're very nice, and of course they're having fun. There's a couple of them that get a little rowdy, but they tip great, and they're always very nice. Not unlike the regular conventions of the guys that come around in a suit and ties and all huffy puffy and everything else, and they come in here and they complain about every little thing. The napkin's out of place, or the food's not exactly the way they wanted it cooked, different things like that. I mean, just constant complaints. Wow, it kind of got to me. I said, wow, the people that are portraying that how great and mighty they are they the ones that complain the most? The ones that are so sophisticated and they complain more about the service because they think they're better than you are? And then they do all this complaining just so they don't have to tip, and they're trying to get the meal for free? Now you tell me, which one's more stressful? The crowd of people that's having fun and respects one another and encourages one another? I don't know. I said a lot of things. You look at the younger generation, everybody talks about that, but there's a positive thing to be said about that because people are tired of the stress. So look at your life. You choose to be stressed. My wife tells me all the time, sometimes it seems like I'm high strung or whatever, and I have to stop and think, you know what, you're right, because I worry about every little thing. But it's all going to come together. So how we treat others is also going to keep us above. If you're treating people nicely and you're going out of your way to try to treat people positive, that's going to give you a better positive. You know what? Bet you that if you started treating people more positive, you would have less stress, less negativity in your life. And believe me, it works. Now, again, not to say I don't ever get negative, but I know when I go through my phases every week struggling with this, and the more I encourage others, the more that I am positive to other people, the less stress that I have about all the everyday things that are going on around me. We're still going to have stresses. We're still going to go through tough things. Not long ago, I was dealing with some very rough stress things in my life. Matter of fact, it went on for about 8 years. During that 8 years, I'm going to tell you, the only thing that brought me through it, and I'm not going to lie to you, it was some tough times. And maybe I'll share that one of these days. But I had lost my business. I was on the verge of losing my family. And there was very few close people that knew exactly what was going on. But I continued to teach. I continued to help others without a lot of other people even knowing what I was going through. Because in reality, like I said before, they really don't want to hear about my personal issues. And again, it was really bad. I can't emphasize that enough. So inside, I'm hurting. But as I am ministering to other people, as I am sharing with them of how to be positive, you know what that is? It gave me the encouragement. Long story short, it helped me more than it helped them, probably. I might have helped them in a small way, but it helped me in a huge way. And you know what? Even though it took almost 8 years for this issue to get resolved, and I'm going to tell you, it had to do with business. It had to do with some other negative things that happened in my life. But because of the positive issues that I put out to others, and again, I'm not telling you I was always positive, but in front of others, I always try to keep a positive attitude. It's what helped me get the strength to endure. By the grace of God, to help me stay positive in this negative world, God helped me through getting through those circumstances just by staying positive and giving encouraging words to other people. So the next time you feel that harsh word getting ready to come out, try asking yourself, can I say this in a nicer tone? Sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it means we got to think about everything we say. And I myself am getting better and better at that every day. And I have not arrived. I am not perfect. I'm a long way from it because God's still working on me. But I work on it every day in my conversation. It's not a type of, I've arrived.